Welcome to Talk Business with Audrey. Hosted by Audrey Bell Carney. The show that helps everyday people turn their big ideas into successful businesses so that they can live the boss life. Sit back and take notes.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Talk Business with Audrey. I'm your host, Audrey Bell Kearney, and I got a great guest with me again, another woman of GWC, baby. Look, we been in the house. We been here strong. Dr. Shunte Howze is my guest today, and she's going to be talking about a lot of stuff, y'all. Like, you know, it's so amazing. It was so funny because Shunte and I have been probably knowing each other probably about a year now. And we were in a meeting recently, and she said she had a degree in economic development. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, wait, hold it. I had no idea. And I was like, I didn't know that. So I'm making faces. But, you know, she has an amazing story. And she does a lot of amazing things. And she has a passion and heart for kids. And so I'm so happy to have you as my guest today. So thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
How was the TD Jakes conference?
It was amazing. I told my mom, I was like, you know, it was like spiritual gluttony. It was so much information. It was so impactful. It was such a great space of networking and connecting. To be in the room with people that you would have never been able to sit down at a table with was just amazing. The information, the books that was shared, the connections that was made. And so I'm like, okay, God, like now I just need the implementation of the information that's been presented. And so I'm game planning and resetting and doing some things now.
You know, it's so crazy because there's so much information out there. Like, it's like, I'm kind of like on information overload, and it's my fault because I'm always like seeking more. So I'm going after it, but I'm still on information overload. So I can't even imagine what that was like. Like I watch him on television and I'm like, oh, I gotta take notes. I'm scribbling stuff. So to be in a room where he is with a whole bunch of other people with just amazing energy and just good stuff. So I can't even imagine what that was like.
Yes, it was definitely an experience. I mean, from Timberland to the gentleman that actually started the restaurant. The grocery store. I think it's at Oklahoma, in Tulsa, and just, I mean, the president of Wells Fargo, a lady from South Carolina that's like worth $420 million. Like that's her net worth. And I mean, and just her impact in the technology industry, and just all these other amazing people, Nona Jones and Kim and Hill Harper hosted, and just, I mean, it was amazing just to be in the building.
I love Hill Harper. So that sounds like a wonderful, oh my God, I love Hill Harper. You know, Hill Harper has the crypto platforms. Did he talk about that?
He didn't really talk about it because he said TD Jakes Bishop had him there to host, and he was like on point in terms of times. Like, okay, Bishop calling me, y'all got to go ahead and get off this stage and pull on to the next group of that was just on that platform. But it was great information. Had a chance to actually take some pictures with him and some other people, and like I said, just being able to network and be in the building. And like I said, now I'm just like, okay, now that I have all this information, what do I need to do with it? And so I think I shared with you, I was like, it's something, opportunities. What came to me some months ago was learning how to balance opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. You know, we're going to talk about that because I know right now you run 3 agencies, and Purpose Life Coaching is your baby, your new baby that you're just embracing. But, you know, we need that. We know I was talking to somebody recently. I don't know if you heard this or not, but I was talking to someone recently, and they said that so many people are struggling right now to the point they're in the process of trying to make it legal for coaches to take health insurance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they don't have enough therapists, because the therapists need therapists. So, yeah. You know, it is a space. Now, that space has been just growing for years and years and years, but this is the first time I've ever heard that they're going to be in a position where people can now use their health insurance to talk to a life coach, which I think that's amazing because not everybody needs a therapist, but a life coach is something I feel could be instrumental to anybody. So kudos to you for taking that path. But let's talk about, let's back up a little bit before we talk about the path. So I know you were in corporate America, and then you jump ship on corporate. I call it all the time, corporate jump shippers. Like you're a corporate jumper, and so you jump ship to start your own business. And I think I've interviewed 3 people so far. Yeah, 3 people so far, all jump ship on corporate. And I asked the same question: what made you do it, and were you not afraid that you wasn't going to have that steady stream of income coming in? Because as entrepreneurs, right out the gate, that money is not steady, baby. It's like, today you might have something, tomorrow you may not. So what made you decide to take that leap?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I have been feeling the nudge to jump. However, see, mine was involuntary. I was working for a company. CEO was having some, health challenges, and decided that, she was going to shut down the business. That same year, I had my first daughter. That was in 2008. And I'm like, okay, God, like, what am I going to do? Because the doors were closing. And so I went through this process of, well, maybe I can go and look for a job. But then I was, of course, new mom. It's like, okay, I can't put my child in daycare until they can talk, so she can talk. And so I'm like, okay, so what do I do? And so I thought that things were going to kind of level out with the company. I'll be able to get another job in between the transition of the company closing, but that didn't happen. So I went from 6 figures to $400 a month. And that's honestly how I ended up into this jumper shipper space over here. It was involuntary. I was afraid. I did not know what I was going to do. All I know is that I had to do something. And so I was married at the time, had this 6-month-old baby. And I'm like, okay, God, what do I do? And it was like, God says, like, you have all the relationships, you have all the tools, you have all the resources. Now it's time to do what it is I told you to do in the first place. But when your heart is passionate about the clients that you serve and the people that you serve, you're connected to it more so than it being connected to you, so to speak. And so at that point, that is exactly how I got into starting my first business, which is SGH Consulting and Supportive Services in 2008. It was definitely involuntary, but it was something that I was being nudged to do. I was just afraid to do it. And so was I afraid? Absolutely. Did I do it scared? Absolutely. Did I have the money to even do it? Absolutely, I did not. But after doing research, because I'm always researching to figure out like how to do things, I realized like, okay, I can go through Secretary of State. Okay, it cost me $100. Okay, great. Got the $100. And then it was like, okay, now I can get a book of stamps, and then I can go to Dollar Tree and get some envelopes, a box of envelopes. And I'm going to go on the state website, and I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. And so in looking at the different things that different companies were written up for, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a marketing letter. Did not go to school for marketing, did not go to school for business, but understood the game and understood how to research. So in that process of actually looking into the state system, that was public knowledge to see what different agencies written up for, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start this consulting business. And so that's what I did. I did it with a box of envelopes and a book of postage stamps, mailed out a letter to these different group home agencies to say, hey, like, have your company been written up for X, Y, and Z? We can provide these support services. And that's honestly how I got started in 2008. A box of envelopes from Dollar Tree and a book of stamps.
That's so funny because I when I first started my first company, I did something very similar. I had met Terry Williams, she was at that time, she was a publicist for Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Eddie Murphy. And I was working at corporate at Prudential, and they had sent us away for a weekend to this thing called Minority Interchange. And she was a speaker. And that's when I first learned how to read the Wall Street Journal. It was like this event that was supposed to teach you how to like read the Wall Street Journal and learn about investing. And she was there. She was a speaker. She had written this book, and it was called The Personal Touch. And I've been talking about that book since 1997. That's how good the book was, because it gave our company the opportunity to be seen in the media. We had no idea what we were doing. I embraced the whole PR thing and went full force. Did exactly what you did. Went to the bookstore, went to Barnes & Noble, which was one of my favorite spots, looked at all the magazines I wanted to be written up in, went to the dollar store, got me some lollipops, got me some wrapping paper. It was Valentine's Day weekend, got me some wrapping paper, did a press release, and sent the boxes out to all these media people. And sure enough, a magazine called Emerge Magazine came back and said, we want to write about your story. We was ecstatic, right? But guess what happened? About a month later, they went out of business. So our story didn't get printed in Emerge. We're like, oh my God, we can't believe this. Well, the company that owned Heart and Soul magazine bought them, and the editor went over to Heart and Soul And when the editor went over to Heart and Soul, they took our story with them. So when they took
Wow.
our story with them and wrote the story, Kelly Price was on one side, and right on the next page was us. I was like, oh my God, we're next to Kelly Price. But again, what you're saying is sometimes you got to get down deep and dirty. Now, remember, she said 2008. The internet was a little bit more, it was going. When I did this, the internet was not going. It was like 1999, 2000. It was just kicking off real good. 2008, we had some traction. So now, do you think those type of things still have weight today? Because social media is everywhere, right? Run an ad, do a Facebook ad, do an IG ad, do a TikTok ad. The down and dirty, old-fashioned way, stamp and paper. Do you think they're still useful today with all the social media that we have going on out there?
Maybe not the traditional way. See, I'm an old school girl. I'm a paper pad, pencil. I got my pad here, notebook here, or whatever. Everybody else using the notes in the cell phones and tablets and iPads. Like, I'm still paper pen. And so I believe that depending on your research, company-wise, it may be some old baby boomers that are in those corporate positions. And so their connection is the old school paper, envelope stamp. Or, LinkedIn is our new way of, connecting with people now as well. And then, of course, social media. But I would say, like as of right now, as I'm working on another contract, I've been marketing. And so I've been sending emails. If I don't get an email within 2 days, I'm actually printing out the same package I email, and I'm going school by school by school, dropping off packages just to see, like, if you didn't get it this way, it may be in spam, but I'm showing up at your school. I'm knocking on the door. So I say, sometimes you got to knock on the door. Sometimes you have to do it the old school way, to be able to connect with your, whoever it is that you're trying to, connect with.
Yeah, I agree. And so email marketing is huge right now. And it's pretty much like you said, like because now you got people's email right in your inbox, right? But I still like direct mail. As a matter of fact, I'm working on a direct mail campaign right now. It's a little bit different though. It actually has a microphone. So listen, for those of you who don't know, podcasting is pretty much my life. And so you're listening to this show, you're watching this show right now. I've been podcasting for such a long time, but I have a box of microphones that I bought. And I'm going to do a direct mail piece with that microphone. So I believe in all the tech, because anybody that knows me know I love tech. But I'm still a little old school when it comes to actually getting people's attention. And Terry Book is always stuck in my mind. She said, do something that they're going to remember. And I'm always looking at that angle. So hence is why I got all these microphones in this box over here in my office, because they're going to go in the mail next week. So that's cool. Now, I know you run 3 companies. Tell us about the 3 companies. I know you got Purpose Life Coaching, and I know you have your other 2 companies. Which one did you start first, and which one do you plan on sticking with? Because 3 is a lot.
So I technically per se started Genesis Outreach first. Which I started in 2007. However, I didn't get my 501c3, which is my nonprofit. I didn't get it until 2010. So I kind of be like, okay, I really started in 2010, but really it actually was incorporated in 2007. And the reason why I started Genesis Outreach, because working with kids in foster care in the juvenile justice system, I say my kids, because my kids still call me to today. And out of pocket, I could do some things, but with the 501c3, I can do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be able to get the resources that they needed. I wanted to be able to provide some support with housing and lights and gas and water, and just be able to be a connection, a resource connection for those kids. And so my kids still call me today. And so that's the purpose of me starting Genesis Outreach in 2007. We started with just the kids, young adults between the ages of really 15 to 25. Mm-hmm. However, it was like, okay, I couldn't really work on one part of this pie without working on the entire pie. So in 2011 to 2012, we actually began servicing the entire family, which has been a huge, huge, huge pull and a tug, but it's been worth it. And so even to today, we still do a lot of outreach and engagements in the community where we do pop-up events versus people trying to figure out how to get to us and they don't have a car or gas or insurance. Then we go out into the community to provide support to the families that we serve. So I'm like, social services has left the building is my new thing that I've put out, like we've left the building. I started SGH Consulting and Supportive Services in 2010. And with that business, it is actually what we do is we are business development. I was doing policies and procedures, fighting with zoning and development to let my clients open these group homes in the community for children that were in need, instead of placing them in like an RYDC or institutionalized facilities. The whole goal was to put them back into a normalcy of space so that we can then reintegrate them back into the normalcy of society. But the pushback was, and I understand, it was the labeling of those bad kids, those kids don't break into my house, so on and so forth. But if we put good services in place, provide the support that they need, the counsel service that they needed, they did very well. And so I did that really from 2008, and I still get calls now, but it was so tasking, sitting up, writing policy procedures, trying to, run against the clock of getting these different, applications and paperwork submitted, that I was like, okay, I'm going to slow down with the policy procedure applications to DFACS, DJJ, setting up CPA, setting up personal care homes and all that kind of stuff, to focusing on other business development. So I've done some transportation companies. I've done some logistic companies outside of this, the regular transportation, and EMT, non-emergency transportation services. I've done state and government bidding, RFPs, RFQs through Team Georgia Marketplace, state, county, city bids. And so that's where I am now. I've done some state mandated trainings as well for social service agencies. And like I said, when the pandemic happened, then what I did was I just kind of went to a halt, because again, trying to translate, again, I'm not the techie person. So trying to put these trainings onto a platform is like, okay, I don't know how that's going to connect, because I'm a personable person. So it's a challenge for me it was a challenge for me to try to put all this personality and all these training skills into a video to where I can still connect with my audience. Thank you, Victoria. To where I can connect with my audience. So I am still doing some trainings and some support services, but not as much as I had done in the past. But I'm doing more business development and coaching now. And then, of course, my newest baby is Purpose Life, that I opened in 2019.
So let me ask you this. The pandemic it took a toll on all of us. I tell my story all the time. And I think once I'm completely healed, and I don't know, will I ever be completely healed from losing my mama to COVID? Maybe I won't talk about it as much, but for some reason, it comes up in every conversation. That's because she's on my mind constantly. But the pandemic destroyed a lot of families. Even when they put all this money into the system, it destroyed a lot of families after the fact, because now we had all this money floating around, right? People were going out buying new stuff. They got all this extra money. Now the money is gone. Now they're back down to where they were. Nowhere to live. I heard recently that the eviction rates are out off the chain, like off the charts right now. So what happens when that happens? Like, do they call you now? Because now it's like, okay, we got an influx of people who are going through it right now, Shunte. We need you. We got kids going into the system. We got families being split up. Do they call you now, Shunte? And if they do call you, how do you handle that?
Yes, so I have an overflow of calls that come for whatever reason. For Gwinnett County, I'm also listed as a shelter. So I get those calls all the time. And unfortunately, in a lot of counties, Gwinnett and a lot of your rural counties, honestly, there aren't a lot of shelters. So you have people that are in need of housing. So that's the biggest thing right now. And so now they set up a normalcy of life inside of extended stays, which is heartbreaking, because you have a person's entire life inside of this small little room with 8 and 9 and 10 people in a 2 queen size beds. And, the going rate for some of those extended stays are $300 and $400 something a week. And they don't understand the other laws that can support them in those spaces, such as the McKinney-Vento Act, which is for education. For those families that are living in extended stays, helping them to understand that you don't have to have all of your paperwork to get your child enrolled in school. The pushback is the kids don't really want the children in those schools, and so they can find out their disciplinary record and their academics, so on and so forth. But now, against the law, you're denying a child a right to an education. So there's so many things that are out there that having challenges with, employment. You have refugees, you have undocumented citizens, you have families fleeing domestic violence. There's a lot in those extended stays, and those families are now in this rat race because they can't figure out how to get out. And so, of course, I've gone out and I've been going out to extended stays for maybe last 7, 8, Zion is 9. So maybe about 9 years now, providing support to those families specifically. But now it's time to stop the soup lines. Now it's time to go in and teach how to apply for jobs, go in and teach how to apply and go through housing, go through reintegration after incarceration, and those type of things. There are programs out there, but nobody's really talking about a lot of those programs. So, for example, when I was still working my consulting business, kind of, I guess, a side hustling, so to speak, but I was subcontracting and working with the under Salvation Army with the Homeless Reinvestment Act of 2008. When President Obama came in, there was all this money that flowed in under the HPRP program, Homeless Prevention Rapid Rehousing Program. A lot of it couldn't be advertised. A lot of it couldn't go out on the networks with the radio stations. It wasn't until the money was about to be gone and they had to either use it or lose it that I started hearing PSAs on the radio. There should have been PSAs and a lot of things going out in 2008.
Why was that, Dr. Shunte? Why was it that information wasn't being put out so people can know about this?
That's a good question. I don't know. But what I decided to do was, because I covered 90 counties of Georgia. So my car was my office. And so not being from Georgia, I know every nick and cranny, every country town, every small town of Georgia, because I cover all the rural counties. And so what I did was I established relationships with the courthouses to say, hey, if you have anybody that's facing eviction, give them my number and let me see if I can qualify them to provide support. So as the outreach and engagement continue to take place on my part, because I have a background working for HUD in Alabama, I have a background in housing and all these other social services, I could be a wraparound for my clients that I supported. Now, it wasn't a handout, it was a hand up. They had to do certain things like you had to submit to me your job search, showing me that you're looking for a job every single week, and I will verify it. Those that was applying for Social Security, disability. Okay, show me where you apply. Show me that you're making efforts. And as long as you were showing me that you were making efforts, then I continue to provide support to those families that were in need of rental assistance during that time. The other part about it was during that time, you also could not help anyone that was a homeowner because there was another pool of money that was going to come out for that. So the only people that I could help were people that were renters. And so I could assist up to 18 months of rental assistance, up to 18 months of utility assistance, except for telephone, cable, and internet, because those were considered amenities. But you would be amazed, even in going to a lot of these rural counties, how the utility companies were monopolized. And that's a whole nother story. But I saw so much and I learned so much in those spaces that I'm like, okay, God, I got to be able to do more. And so pulling out of those spaces and subcontracting, I'm like, okay, how do I connect and how do I meet these people? And it was like, okay, you got to get some state contracts. So because the people that need you right now can't afford your support and afford your services with social services, but the state can pay you to do exactly what it is you want to do. And so that's actually how I got into contracting for myself. I could do it for other people, but it was like, okay, I need to be able to serve and help on a grander scale. How do I do that? How do I reach the community? And that was applying for my own contracts for my companies.
So that's a great segue into the second part of this. So Shunte and I have talked about this extensively, and we still have a lot more to talk about in this space. So a lot of times when you're thinking about getting a government contract, you've heard it. Oh, you got to get certified. You got to go do this. You got to go that. And most of the time, when you go look at those packets, it's like, oh my God, like it's going to take me from now to next year to get through the packet. So people look at that, especially small business owners who just don't have the time to actually go out and do all the paperwork. They won't do it. So there's a lot of money being left on the table. However, Shunte has discovered that, you know what, you don't necessarily need a DBE, WBE, MBE, WSOB, ABCDE, all of these E's. You don't need them. And there's many of them. I'm sure I forgot some. but you don't actually need those to get government contracts. And at one point, she had government contracts and 53 people on her team. So we're going to talk about that. So talk about what that process kind of looks like. And I know we can't cover it all, y'all. We can't cover it all in the time that we got, but she will tell you that, you know, her process for getting government contracts without having all of these certifications that you hear so much about, because that could be just daunting just thinking about that.
Yes. So, excuse me. So, initially back in 2010, I had teetered on becoming a provider with Folk Rehab, which is actually a state agency. And because things were going well with the consulting business and things were going well with me subcontracting on my services under other companies, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Well, in 2015, having gone through a divorce, having had another baby, in the process of all of that, and being a mom at that time to a 5-year-old and newborn, I'm like, okay, God, like, I can't continue to burn this, you know, midnight oil all night, working, doing policy procedures and doing all this work. I need a team. I need to figure out, like, what is it that I can do? And so at that point in 2015, I got a call from the state basically stating that they remember me inquiring about becoming a provider with Folk Rehab. And if I was still interested, I'm like, Lord, this may be my ticket right here. It's a ram in a bush. And so I got the package. I did respond to stating, yes, I was interested in still becoming a provider. You know, what do I need to do? And so at that time, I got this package. I'm looking at this information. I'm like, all right, it's time to do this for myself. Like, girl, you got it. And so the first thing I did was, in looking at the package, I looked at all these different services in this huge manual of all these different services. It breaks down the qualifications, descriptions, the standards, so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay, let me first look at all the different services that I can provide, that I'm credentialed to provide. Because one thing I've learned in being a compliance person and working for different companies is that people fall in and they fall out all the time. And I didn't want a bad rep with my company for people not showing up delivering services. So everything that I decided in terms of a service, I found things that I could do myself. In the event that somebody couldn't show up, was running behind, running late, or they just didn't do the work. And so I looked at all those different services. And then under those services, I honestly went through a research phase. Like, okay, what does this evaluation look like? What's requested in terms of a comprehensive vocational profile? And based off the research, I'm like, okay, we can do this. I can do this. And so I began to create forms. I had to create sample reports. I had to put everything together. I had to find an office space, which is a whole nother story, but I found my office space. Believe me, Craigslist work, and it can be legitimate, because that's actually how I found my first office space, having worked from home and then needed to come out so that I could be in compliance with HIPAA in terms of protecting my clients' files. And so I'll do a real quick, I was looking for office space, went on Craigslist, and I'm like, okay, this must be too good to be true. So I rode downtown Decatur, went to the first space, and I'm like, I don't know. Went to the second place, I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I got my access to the library is right here behind my building. I got public transportation, both MARTA bus as well as the trainway, the railway. Like, this is perfect location. It has access to everything I need. Went in, met with the owner, told him my story, told him what I needed to do. He gave me the first 3 months with no rent. He gave me an office desk. He gave me my first chair. Went down the street, past the flea market, past the farmer's market, saw 4 or 5 cabinets that I needed to start because that was my number that I needed. The guy was asking for $100. He ended up giving me all 4 of them for $25 each, so $100. Delivered them to my office the first day, and that's how I got my first office space, which gave me what I needed also to meet the requirements, of the state at that time.
The university knew doing good work. So that's why, the university knew that you needed this. God knew. So you know what? She needs to help out. She needs to help my children. And so let's give her let's equip her with everything she needs to make it happen. So listen, good energy out, good energy in.
Favor is not fair, but I've been blessed on this journey. And so once I got the office space, got everything back into the state, went through my criminal records check, on a form called a vendors management form, you can actually self-certify minority owned, women owned, so on and so forth. So all these different things you can actually self-certify using that vendor management form. Once I got everything done, got everything approved, I had my state contract within 2 weeks, a week of getting everything submitted to the state. So I was ready to roll out my services January of 2016. I actually brought in one of my good girlfriends and we kind of worked together on like, okay, how are we going to do mileage reimbursement to the staff? And since they're going to use their cell phone, like what would be a reasonable rate to give them each month towards their cell phone bill? And so I went through all this process. And like I said, I worked the contract, and then from the money I had made from the consulting, I used that to flip so that I didn't have to get a business loan to actually start the state contract. I flipped my money from consulting over into the state contract. And then as I had money rolling in, I was like, okay, I can bring on one person for this service, and I can bring on another person for this service, and I can bring on another one, until I was up to 53 team members. And I call them team members, not per se staff, just because it does take a team. And we all had our role that we had to play. I'm a football chick, so I'm like, okay, we all got our position on the field. I'm the coach, and we're going to run this play until we get this touchdown in the end zone. And so that's how we worked it. And so with our team members, we would have our meetings. And so as we grew, I then, of course, had to have a billing person to kind of deal with all the invoicing and authorizations. I had a compliance person reviewing all the reports. I had an operations person kind of overseeing the operations and the training of the staff after we had so much staff on. And then I was like, okay, how are we going to cover the Northeast, the South, and the West? So the guy was like, okay, you need a director over each region. So then I built out a regional director where they provided some support services to the team members that was under them, but then they also provided service as well, so that I first had the first hands-on training. So I knew how quick it would take for invoices to be paid, how the service actually worked, the distance in which you're having to drive, the clients in which we're having to serve. So I had all feet in this entire process. So then now that I'm stepping back, I should know how it should flow going forward. So to today, I still have that state contract. It was first year contract with 5 renewable years. And so I started in 2015 with that contract. I'm 2023 now, and with my contract. And so things have been going well. There have definitely been some challenges. But we're still here, we're still alive, and now we're going into the schools working with the children. So I'm still back touching my initial heart and passion, which are my children.
So let me ask you this. I got a couple of questions I want to ask. Okay, so my first question was, so just to be clear, you did not have to go through a certification process like a DBE, a WBE, MBE, ACDBE, WSOB. These are all certifications, y'all. I'm not making these up. These are real certifications. I'm not making them up. So you didn't have any of those to get that contract. Can you share, or do you mind sharing? I don't know, you don't have to, but do you mind sharing what that first contract looked like monetarily when you got it? If that's
yes.
Okay.
So it is a multi-million-dollar contract. It's still a multi-million-dollar contract today. And no, I've gone through the classes in terms of getting an understanding of what each one of those mean. But in terms of actually being certified, no, I don't have any business certifications for SGH. Again, it's just self-certified, but this is multi-million-dollar contract. And so I was able to share with Audrey and the rest of the ladies that attended the Lunch and Learn the actual real numbers in that contract. And then based on even now, what we're looking to make just over the summer is a couple of $1 million if we continue to push and do what needs to be done. And that's just really from the month of June to mid-July. With that particular contract. And then I have a new contract that will be rolling out under Purpose Life, which is my other business, starting July 1st. So I'm actually hiring for both of those businesses right now in order to keep moving forward. Yes.
So, my other thing, so a lot of people that watch the show, watch these episodes, they're thinking about, okay, I need a team to scale, right? Even me, like I'm in a place right now where I'm in scale mode, right? We're on this journey, hit $1 million this year. So where everybody's in scale mode. So it's a group of us, we're all in scale mode. And one of the ways to scale is bringing on a team of people. And so I know for me, I have somewhat of some trust issues, and I had to make peace with that. Order, you got some trust issues going on, so that's a problem for me. But how do you manage all of those people? Because just thinking about bringing on more than one person, bringing on one person is scary. Working with 53 and managing 53 just blows my mind. And I know that there are companies that do it all the time, but as a woman running a small business, and I think you had at 53, you was just over the small business mark, because I think it's up to 50. When after 50, you're no longer considered, I think, of a small business. So how do you manage all of those people? And then I know at some point you said they all went away. Talk about that for me.
Yes, so it was a process and it was stressful because honestly, although the business was going great in terms of the services and support we were providing, it was a lot because the reimbursement at that time was not direct deposit. So I had to open up a PO box for all these little paper checks to come through. So let's just say if we were seeing 100-ish clients a month, that could be 100-ish clients. That could be services paid one rate, mileage is paid another rate, travel time is paid another rate. Those didn't just come in as one. No, it could be a mileage on check for one client, something else on another, a service on another check for 3 clients. And so I have this big binder. It's so funny because I still have all of my paper checks to today with all the backup and support to look at, like where we started to where we are now. We are in direct deposit, but it was a lot. And so the reality of it is, although the company was making great money, because again, I came on and then I brought on somebody else that became the kind of like the director of operations. And then I brought on a billing person because I was like, okay, I can't continue to do all this billing myself, doing services as well, and then doing the operations. And then I started training. It was myself, my director of operations, my accounts payable, receivable. I brought on a compliance person. Then I was like, okay, but all these people deliver services before actually getting their positions to make certain they clearly understood how each service worked. And then so once I did that, I built on another stack of executive leadership, which was again my regional directors, north, east, south, and west directors. They provided services first, and then we brought on a team under them. So again, everybody would know how things flow. So while they were working and doing what needed to be done on this contract, I had to flip back over and continue to do my consulting because I didn't know at what point we were going to get a check, and my payroll was running $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. That was a lot of weight. And I'm one of those, I'm not going to be at Department of Labor because of they didn't get, no, I'm not going to get paid, but everybody in here is going to get their money. I don't care about no, girl, you good. No, we not good. This is business. It's not personal. And so it was a lot of work. It was stressful. Again, I'm a single mom at the same time. Yeah. And then, of course, I still continue to provide support through my nonprofit on the holidays and pop-up events for back to school and extended stays. And I'm still getting all these calls. And it became a lot, very overwhelming. So I made great money as a company. I made decent money as a CEO. And my team made great money, but it was a lot. And so I'm like, okay, I went back to the scripture. What profits the world to gain? What profits the man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? At this point, it wasn't my soul because my soul was in it, but it was my health. And so I began to have heart palpitations because I was so stressed out trying to do the consulting, flipping the money to make certain I had payroll over here, managing adults. Some I had to have one of my good girlfriends, like sometimes you got to treat adults like children. That's not my management style. I can't do it. So the having to sometimes micromanage, and that's not how I operate at all. The reason why I encouraged my team to start your own business, I'd rather pay you as an LLC than to pay you as a person. So I poured into my team members, helping them to start their own businesses and to boss up and actually help a couple of them get contracts, because it's like, I don't want this to be your end game. Like, this is just a part of your next step to whatever it is that God has for you to do. I appreciate you while you're here, but let me pour into you. And so that's what we did. We poured into our team members. So they were vested in the company and they did a great job, but it was a lot. And being a mom of little kids, little girls, it was like, okay, God, my main focus is always going to be mommy first. That's going to be always be my first job, my first duty, the first thing that God has given me to do. So now I'm like, okay, God, the girl is stressed out. The money is good. Things are all over the place. Some of these people are getting on my nerves. Like, what am I going to do? And so honestly, I prayed about it. Some people started moving out, finding other jobs, which is great. Others started their businesses, got contracts. I actually helped one get a couple contracts. She's great. So everybody kind of started moving. Some moved out of state. So that was good. So in 2019, I'm like, okay, God, like this is a lot. Zion, let me see, Zion was born 13, 14, 15, 16. So Zion's about to start kindergarten. Genesis is in middle school. And I'm like, those are my daughters. I'm like, okay, God, like this has been great. The ride has been good, but I need something else. Like this has been a good ride. I still want to be able to touch my clients in this contract because I love what I do. And my parents and my families absolutely love me, but I need something else to do. And at that point, I'm sitting down in June of 2019. I'm like, okay, God, what am I going to be when I grow up once again? And it was like, a life coach. I'm like, okay, but I'm schooled out. I'm one of those that when my attention span goes left, I got doodles where I done made S's and lines and stuff all in my notepads because my attention span is just not there. I'm trained out, schooled out, and I'm like, okay, I can't go get another degree because I'm not there. And so I went through the process of becoming a life coach. And so that's what I wanted to be. And that's what when I grow up was a life coach. And so my goal was like, okay, I want to be able to pour into people. Of course, with DFACS, a lot of state agencies, your clients come to you and they're referrals. But now I wanted people to come to me that was like, I'm ready to make a change. And it was by free will and nobody had to threaten you to go and get some help. It was a choice. And so I had to go through my ugly phase of redefining who I was. It was my reset. It was my recharge. And it was redetermining like what my morals look like, what my values look like, what matters most to me. And so when I went through that mindset change and also had a therapist and a life coach myself, let me say that. And even now I still have a therapist and a life coach myself, because again, we still need that support and we still need people pouring into us as we pour into other people. So I made certain that I stayed in that space, but going into my life coaching became my purpose for real. So that's the reason I'm Purpose Life. So I tell people all the time, my nonprofit is my passion. My compassion is what I enjoy doing. SGH is my gift. It's my talent. It just comes natural through research, through education experience. But Purpose Life is my purpose. It's my exit plan off this earth. When God calls me home, it would have been that I've left legacy and left deposits in each person's life, because that's what I've been called to do or chosen to do. Like, so this is my path.
I want to go back and we're going to talk more about that in a second, because you said a couple of things. You said I have a therapist and a coach. I want to talk about that. But before I do that, I want to ask a question. So you said that you were doing really good with the money that came in from your contracts, right? Can you kind of break down what does that look like as far as how that wrote, like how the money comes in? Because, people are hearing this right now. They thinking she got a multi-million-dollar contract. Oh my God, the money is about to flow in. And because that's what I would be thinking, the money is about to flow in. Does the government, and I've heard people say, listen, you get a government contract, ooh, that's guaranteed money. I get that part. But how does it come? Does it come weekly? Does it come monthly? Because, if you've been in the regular world for a certain amount of time, you're used to getting a weekly check, a bi-weekly check, a salary. How does that money flow? Does it come in like that? Or does it come in net 30, net 90, net 180? How does it flow?
So I tell you all the time. So initially I had a rolling budget because it just came when it decided it was going to come and they processed it. So the initial part of it was we had to deliver the services. So first you're going to need some money set over here in what I call the kitty. You're going to need some kitty money, because it's not like, oh, that $1 million just came to me day one and now I disperse it out and we provide the services. No, you provide the services. Then you invoice the state. And then most state contracts says that they have within, 30 days to turn around an invoice. Now, some have been 10 days. Thankfully, at this point, our invoices are turning around within a week's time, but it wasn't always that way. There were times where, yes, we got everything in because it'll tell you in your contract, if your notes are due by the 5th, or authorizations are due by the 5th or by the 10th. And then the state has their part where it says we will reimburse you for services within X amount of days. Now, those days didn't come in those X amount of days. Sometimes my invoices were 60, 90, 120 days behind. But I still had to pay my staff based on the services that they provided the month before. And so what I had set up was I paid my staff reimbursement. So whatever they did the month, let's just say in April, they got paid in May. Whatever they do in May, they get paid in June, because that's how the state paid us. But it also gave me time to make certain that I was pushing enough business on the other side to make certain that I would meet that payroll come the 15th of each month. And so all of my team members got paid on the 15th of each month. So of course, they had to be great budgeters and be able to manage that money. And so like myself, I had a CPA to come in and talk to my team, was to say, hey, like, have your first of the month, your middle of the month, and your end of the month bills, and divvy your stuff up, and then divvy your check up to where you can support yourself across a 30-day period. So it's not just you just get a $1 million check and just like, boom. No, you do the services first, and then you're reimbursed for the services that you provide. And let me tell you, you don't want the I, the R, or the S to come, or the M, D, or the I to come. So my billing lady knows we're licensed. We have all the insurances and all those things, errors and omissions. However, nothing is submitted to the state without a note first, making certain it's within the period of time that the service can be provided. And then we submit an authorization. So the backup supports the invoice, supports the authorization. If we don't have that, we don't bill. If we don't have the notes from you, we don't get paid, nor do you get paid, because you signed your contract stating too, I understand that my services are reimbursable by the state. If the state does not pay for this service because of my notes or whatever the case may be, you don't get paid either, because we're not getting paid.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And I'm glad you shared that, because I know a lot of people probably are watching, and they're going to watch this because it's being recorded, and they're going to say, oh, I want to go give me one of them contracts. So she got the $1 million. So I think that's amazing. I also thought what you said was amazing. So I have recently sat down with my financial advisor because, again, we're on this 7-figure run right now. And so I had to sit down with her, and she had to go through my numbers and make sure everything is like my stuff is tight. The fact that you said, you know what, I need to make sure that they understand how to manage this money that's coming in once a month, because I've never been on a job that I had once a month, but I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. And so money comes in, you're looking at it like this. Okay, now I really want to do this, but I cannot because I got to do this. So the fact that you even had the thought to say, you know what, let me put you with a financial advisor so you can make sure that you manage this money correctly, because that's important. Even with that being said, we talking about people trying to scale, right? And a lot of times you think you're ready to scale. You think you're ready to bring all this money into your house, right? Because I've been saying this for years. And so the financial advisor said to me, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for the 7. I'm ready for. Listen, she sat me down. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not so ready. I'm ready now though, because she's whooping me into shape. But a lot of people aren't ready. They think they want the staff, they think they want the 7 figures. They think that they want all of these things to thrive in business, but all of that comes with a lot of work. And I've been a solo now, probably it's been 26 years. And yes, I want to scale right now. In order for me to get to the 7, I got to scale, but I'm a little bit afraid, like you said. I'm a little bit afraid to bring people into my space. I'm a little bit afraid to be responsible for somebody's livelihood, because what happens when I don't want to get up and do nothing, so I'm afraid about all that stuff. And I'm just keeping it real. I'm afraid. So now that you have gone through that process and you're looking at purpose life coaching, and you still want to stay in the vein of coaching, you said something too that was very true. The coach needs a coach, right? We were talking about how mothers expect girls to be strong, but they baby the boys, right? And I said to someone, I said, my brother has had a coach since he was 6 years old. I got my first coach at 33. He's had a coach since he was 6. So our life, even though we grew up together and we're very, very close, it was a little bit different because he's been coached his entire life. I got a coach at 33. So when did you decide, you know what, I need a coach and a therapist, and why both?
So let me start with the distinctive difference between a therapist and a life coach. So a therapist is going all the way back down to the foundational roots of, childhood trauma and what happened, and really digging through all that soil to figure out the root cause of what happened, the reason why you are operating and doing the things that you're doing. We talk about triggers, we talk about all these different areas, and a therapist is licensed. And they have to continue do CEUs, continue education units, in order to keep their license. They have to practice, they have to do certain things in order to keep their license. But a therapist is digging all the way down foundationally to figure out how you became the way you became, or dealing with the things that you're dealing with. Life coach, we may hit there's a little small surface of that, but our biggest thing is, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? Let's develop a plan. Let's understand who you are as a person to help you get to where you're trying to go. So we're giving guidance and we're giving support based off of what you say your goals are. We're not going all the way down into the soil to dig up all these things, to have you to rehash a whole lot of stuff that may cause some other triggers and some other emotions. But we're starting here, and you're telling me, okay, you know what? I want to build this business, but I also need to build my whole self. So I'm dealing with the person and the business development side in my life coaching business. And so I'm working on the self-esteem. I'm working on the confidence. I'm working on the bossing up and what the boss chick looks like. But I'm also talking about your money matters. I'm also talking about your business, making certain that it's a legitimate business, not a side hustle, that you actually have a registration with the Secretary of State, and you actually have an EIN with the IRS, and you've actually got a bank account, and it's not your bank account, but it's your business bank account. So we're developing the business and we're developing the person at the same time, but it all comes together. So that's the difference, because now the reason why I decided to have both, because there have been some things that I have dealt with, the childhood trauma of my parents going through divorce, and of course me going through divorce, and me being a single parent, and why certain things affect me the way they do. So I'm like, okay, what's wrong with me? That's my therapist. Like, I'm trying to get better over here with dealing with, certain things. I'm just trying to think of one thing is just my feelings. Like, I'm real soft. Like, I'm strong in business. I can be that boss chick, but my feelings are very sensitive on the other side. And so I'm learning, like, okay, so why am I so sensitive? And where did this come from? And why am I a little bit more passive aggressive than being a little bit of a little balance of both? And so that's what I'm working with my therapist on, and how to get past the divorce, and why I was so detrimental, and so on and so forth. So that is what I'm dealing with my therapist. My life coach is like, okay, girl, listen, this is what you're saying that you want to do. We talk about, Audrey mentioned numbers. One of the things that one of my consultant clients that I was working with, he said, have anybody ever asked you what your number is? And I was like, what is that? He's like, you need to know your number, because, we talk about, getting money and bossing up. And as the word is getting the bag. What does a bag look like for you? The bag is different for different people. Yeah. So once I really understood like what he meant, I'm like, okay, I know what my number is for retirement. And I know that this life coaching, doing speaking engagements, motivation, like that'll be my lifelong path. But what is my number to be like, girl, I'm not getting up this morning. I'm asleep in my bed. I'm not taking any calls because I have residual money coming in, and I got a financial plan and advisor there. But how do I get to this next level? And so I work with my coach based on, this is where I am now, and this is where I'm trying to go. So my coach helps me more so in the business development, bossing up space. We don't have to go over here in the personal, because deep over here, that's the therapist part. But the coach is really taking me where I am right now and taking me to the level that I say I want to go. But the thing about it is, she's not reinventing the wheel. The wheel is already here. She's just taking what's inside of me and helping me to go my own path. But she helped me with my roadmap. And so that's the difference between a therapist and a life coach. And that's the part that I enjoy doing, because I'm in a power empowerment person all day. I guess in the spiritual way they call them evangelist. Like, I'm that hype girl. I'm like, you got it, girl. Let's go get it. Like, this is what you need to do. And so I have people reach out to me all the time, like, girl, well, what you thinking? I'm like, okay, so you want it from a personal aspect or do you want it from a life coach? Because I'm gonna give it like, it's two different people, two different personalities. So which way you want it. And so that is the difference between a life coach and a therapist. And that's the reason why I still keep both of them, because every now and then I do go through a moment like, dang, especially with this whole relationship thing. I'm like, okay, God, like a girl ready to be married. It's been 10 years now. So what we need to do, what I need to work on over here. But at the same time, I'm not allowing that relationship status to get in the way of my money and my parenting and what I need to continue to do to develop as a person.
You know, you talked a lot about your grind and your hustle. Did your grind and hustle have anything to do with the demise of your marriage?
Ask me that one more time.
I said, when you talked about your grind and your hustle, when you were doing all these things and you had all these staff members and you was just getting it, you had 90 counties you were covering. Did that have anything to do with the demise of your marriage?
No, not really, because I wholeheartedly believe in that whole wife thing. Like we did everything right by the books. Like my husband and ex-husband and I honestly did not live together until we got married. Because even though I was in college, undergrad, not living with my parents, like, God, not living together until you get married. I'm like, well, okay, Lord, well, we would still plan on getting married, but I'm like, okay, we're going to go ahead and get married then so we can live together. And so I did the whole, cooking dinner and making certain breakfast was done, brewing the hot Lipton tea when he got off of work. So I did all the wifely things. We moved here together actually from Alabama. And so once we got here, it was like we in hot Atlanta, things are going well. But the more I was focused on what our initial original goals were, one thing, and he knows to the day, we do great co-parenting, and he my homeboy over there. We like each other most of the time. But I'm still focused on the goal. I don't know if it's just because I'm a Capricorn or just because it's always been in me, like, I'm going to win no matter what. If this is the goal, this is what we're going to do. And so I stayed focused here, and he got sidetracked on other things. And so although I poured into him, I helped him open his business, I helped him get contracts. And so he was wholesaling about 15, 20 restaurants doing his desserts. He's an amazing baker. Grandmama, like, he can cook, he can bake. So he was wholesaling very well. And I'm like, okay, you go ahead and do that. You quit your job. I'm gonna work my full-time job and just do my stuff as a side hustle. Let you get where you need to go. And then eventually I'll circle around, quit my job. But the game plan changed. He was working, doing cakes, and doing other stuff too. So he got real busy in hot Atlanta. And so honestly, that was it. And so the more that he was doing other stuff, then honestly, I utilized my work as my therapy. Honestly, I got really caught up and tied and connected to the people I was serving, because I felt like, okay, I'm making a difference. I'm giving this love and this care and compassion to the people that really need me, because at this point it was like, okay, you know what? He doing his thing. I need something else. And so this became my something else. And so I was sunning the sun down, working and doing my human services stuff. And then of course, once I had Genesis, then my love was like, okay, here go my baby, still trying to support my husband. But the reality of it is, honestly, because I'm one of those that's like loyal and I'm down like 4 flats, it took him walking away in order for the marriage to end. Other than that, I don't know, maybe at some point I would have been like, okay, I'm done. But honestly, it was just like, it took him leaving in order for me, because like I said, I'm not quitting a thing. I'm not giving up. I'm all in. And so even to this day, when we're joking, we're laughing, he was like, man, if I had only stayed, or man, we could really be, we could be like, what was it, Patty LaBelle, Patty Pies in Walmart. Yeah. Because he's an amazing baker. He has the skill. He doesn't have the business side. And so that's where I came in with the marriage, because I'm always trying to find my purpose in anything I do. And when I feel like I don't have a purpose, then that does something to me. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's just me, my genetic makeup, but I always have to have a purpose in something, the reason why I'm doing it. If I don't have a purpose, I'm like, why am I here?
I got one of my good friends as a Capricorn, and she was dating this guy for years. And when she stopped dating him, I thought she would never not be in love with him, ever. And every time I talk, she broke up with him. They broke up. But I thought it would never be a day that she wouldn't be in love with him, you know. And to this now, when I talk to her and he calls, she was like, I don't care what I don't know what he keep calling me for. It's hilarious. And I'm always laughing because I know how much she loved him. And I know how she was like right there no matter. And he did some things that I swear to God I'd be in prison behind. Ooh, child, I would have been locked up. Some of the things he did to her. And I was like, oh my God, like why you put up with that stuff? But when she dropped him, she meant she dropped him like a bag. She's like, I'm done. And I was like, I never thought I'd see the day. So maybe it's a Capricorn thing because she's definitely a Capricorn.
We're done. It's a wrap.
And she said, and he constantly to this day, he constantly, and he got a girlfriend. That's the crazy part. He constantly is trying to get her to go somewhere with him, buy her dinner constantly. And she's like, I'm gonna eat the free dinner. And she and I know she's telling the truth. Somebody's like, nah, she's not telling. I was like, no, she's telling the truth. Because when she says no to something, she says no to it for real. And she's very germophobic, all these different little things. And she's like, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know who he's doing it with. So I know for me, knowing her like for so long, if that's what's in her mind, I don't know what he's doing and who he's doing it with, it's a no for her. Because she's straight up like, I'm not doing nothing. Don't touch me. I already know. But so maybe that's a Capricorn thing. Looking for love. Here you are, you still rocking, you still doing big things, you still got these multi-million-dollar contracts. Wait, let me ask that question because this is a good one. You got these multi-million-dollar contracts, right? And I'm gonna say it. Listen, y'all can say what you want to say. Some of these dudes right now, they too sensitive. They can't handle that strong woman making all that money. So are you prepared for that? And if you are, like, because if I had to date right now, I probably would be single. Because I look at people that are dating and I'm like, is he really saying that for real? And they're like, yeah, he's saying that, Audrey. So some of these guys are hypersensitive. They want you to buy them flowers. You know, they want you to take them to dinner, but they want to be the man. So you are doing big things and your big things are steadily growing and your numbers are getting bigger. Some men are intimidated by that. So, you know, I'm not saying that standards got to be low, but are they relaxed somewhat? How do you handle that part in dating right now or thinking about dating?
So they are. Like, I am still a country girl from Alabama right now. I have any socks on my feet or shoes. Like, I'm still very much a country girl from Alabama. I'm still I wake up every morning at 5 o'clock and I cook my girls breakfast. I cook the first one breakfast first because she's in high school. And while I make the youngest one's lunch, I come back after I drop the oldest one off. I come back and make my second one her breakfast because they don't eat the same thing for breakfast. So I'm still that chick. I'm very much a homemaker. I loved being a wife. I love relationships. I love family. So that is definitely a space that I'm looking forward to being back in terms of a title. Because I tell people, I'm nobody's girlfriend, baby. I'm a wife. I bring too much to the table to be anybody's girlfriend. I'm a wife. But with that, it has been a process. This new school dating is real different. So I honestly had to start telling people I work for a consulting business. I don't tell guys that I am a business owner or any of those things. Matter of fact, I still got my 2014 Honda in my garage. I don't pull up all the time in my truck. I pull up in my 2014 Honda because I don't need you to know who I am outside. I need you to know who I am on the inside first. And then wait.
I gotta tell you this, and somebody's gonna know who you are because right now we're streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Amazon. So we're streaming live on all them platforms like right now. Somebody gonna say, yeah, they gonna know who you are. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but just want you to know
I keep it real simple. You know, I like to, I'll dress up when I want to dress up and just be that chick. But other than that, Derek had me laughing that I look like the stay-at-home mom. But I put on my stuff and I enjoy it, but I'm real simple. I'm not I've flown to Dubai and I've been to Abu Dhabi and I've been over a lot of different places.
You just talked about him. Now he's being funny. If you want to be open, you got to treat me like Stedman. Oh my God, only him.
I'm very much in my relationships though. I'm not I got to have everything my way. I'm not going to throw the word submissive out there, but I'm respectful of a man's role in my life as long as he can lead. Lead as in make some decisions and lead as in make the decision. If it didn't work out, then you are accountable for whatever that decision was or is. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm not the, oh, you have to take me to a 5-star restaurant. Like, no, we can ride up in a Zaxby's line and get a meal, and let's just take a road trip down 20 or hit 285 3 times. That'll take 3 hours depending on what kind of accident on 285. That kind of stuff. I love conversation. I enjoy reading books. I need some spirituality up in there too, because I get tired, and so I want somebody that can carry the weight, because it's a lot. And so it was amazing at the TD Jakes International Leadership Summit. Nona Jones was talking about the hot octane woman. And she talked about, her husband being a community pastor and her having 2 sons. And she left her 2 sons, basically with daddy to kind of take care of, because, here she is scaling, flying out for, I think it was the metaverse. And I know she's doing the Bible thing now, the app there. And she's doing a lot. And so she was just saying there was nothing for her to be in 2 or 3 different countries in a week and then come back. And she said, yeah, I was feeling myself, coming back home like, okay, hey. And I remember her husband. So in the conference, she's like, well, baby, let me have my husband come to the stage and let's talk about what it's like to be married to a high octane woman. And how we had to work through some things relationship wise to realize that we're the Joneses. It's not a Nona, and I can't think of her husband's name. We're a team. And so I think that that's the part too, is that there has to be a game plan. There has to be a goal. And it has always been my belief from the point that I got married in 2001. And that was, God has given you a purpose. God has given me a purpose, and then God has given us something that we work collaboratively together with. And as long as it's not about competition, but it's about completing one another and supporting one another, like, we can win. And so I know I had a guy ask me like, so what if he was a garbage truck worker? I said, well, let me just tell you something. He could be a garbage truck worker as long as he loved me, love my children, have some standards, respect me, and can kind of check off these other things. The reality of it is he'll work on the back of that truck. We'll own the fleet of them garbage trucks, and we'll have some contracts, because I know what I bring to the table. Now the question becomes what he brings to the table, and would he allow me to be that boss chick on that side and help him to level up, if that's what he chooses. Because I don't even have to have another entrepreneur, CEO, businessman. I just need a good man that got some financial responsibility as well, and know how to manage money and know what it looks like. It doesn't have to be an eye for an eye, a dot for a dot, because I done been broke, busted, disgusted. I done had bad credit, jacked up credit, reestablished my credit, and got good credit now. But it hasn't always been that way. So I also understand that life happens, to even the best of us. Certain things that my ex-husband left on my plate, I didn't even know he wasn't paying HOA 10 years later, until I realized like he wasn't. And so now I'm paying catch up on HOA fees with all these other charges, and now they talking about leaning, and I'm like, we leaning what? So that kind of stuff. So I do understand that life happens, but I want to be able to build with somebody. I don't want anybody to come when I'm up here and now you think you about to walk up here with me. Like, no, like, let's start somewhere and let's build together. So that's where I am relationship wise. I'm super excited. Like, I'm still saying, I'm putting out there like, God, I'm one of my affirmations is like, I'm a wife. I'm a wife, Lord. I'm gonna be a wife one day, but I'm not settling for just anything or anybody. And like I said, he doesn't have to be a CEO. He doesn't have to be, what president of a Fortune 500 company, but he just has to be a man of a certain caliber that is not intimidated by a hot octane woman. Use Nona Jones, by a hot octane woman that's out here getting it. Because at the end of the day, it's us. It's not me against you and you against me, but it's us working together for our family at the same time.
Well, good luck, sister, because I done heard it's hard to find them. Every time I talk to one of my high octane sisters, it's like, oh, I can't find them. I can't find them. I was like, Lord, thank you, Lord. I don't have to be dating right now because I don't know what I would do. And I'm such a romantic, right? I'm like you though. Like I've never. To me, it had to. I'm love first. I remember I dated this guy, and my mom wanted me to marry him. He was trying to buy me a BMW, and my friends were like, you better take that car. I was like, I'm not taking that car. I don't like him. He was nice as he wanted to be, but he just was not for me. And one of his parents was a lawyer, one was a doctor. They lived in England. He lived in America. I was like, yeah, it's not gonna work. So I'm definitely a diehard romantic. I remember asking one of my friends, look, would you date a bus driver? She said, long as he can manage his money, she can date a bus driver. That's
because we're gonna own the fleet of them buses. We gonna figure out how to get one of these county contracts with the school system. If that's what he chooses to do. But I'm not gonna say just any kind of bus driver. Now he gonna have to come with a little bit more than just being a bus driver. I mean, he gonna have to have some standards and look like that. Now, if he driving those buses, that's cool. But when he get off those buses and we going out, he gonna have to put his stuff on because I like the dress.
She do, y'all. She be fly when I see it all the time. I got a friend, right? I asked my friend this one time. She got engaged. She literally, the guy gave her a ring. Nice guy. She liked everything about him, but he wasn't a high profile kind of joker. He was a car detailer. Very nice. Loved her. Bought her a ring, and I was like, but he makes you happy. Yes. Here's the thing. She had all her stuff together. Everything was together. But I'm like, but he makes you happy and he loves you. And she was like, that's not enough. I'm like, but what? So in my mind, I'm like, why? You know, but you're with him. She was with him then, and in my mind, like, you're not wanting for anything. You guys have a great time. Everything is great outside. He just don't make as much money as you making. And she broke off the engagement and she broke his heart and he went on about his business. Then she regretted it and he would not come back. She tried to get back with him, but he wouldn't come back. So, you know, is there a dollar figure that you would put on, you know, he has to make, you know, yeah, he got to be a garbage man, Derek, or a bus driver, but he got to be like a manager, you know, making like at least 6. Is it a number, or he just needs to be someone who loves you and your girls and who can manage his money and make sure that he's adding to you, not taken away from you? Is that what I'm hearing? Yes. I'm always on the down low. I'm playing matchmaker right now, live on Facebook and LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Amazon. Listen, they make me go into retirement at least once a week. I'm always trying to match somebody up. So far, I haven't had a successful match yet. I ain't give up yet. So what do you want now? Listen, let's go ahead.
So all of the basic things, you know, in terms of the respect, the loving myself, my daughters, having a space of spirituality. There's some other things like I know God got a sense of humor, but I'm good with children. So I honestly would love a blended family. I'm a stepchild and I love my stepfather as well. And so I'm okay with the blended family as long as we don't have a whole bunch of, you know, baby mama stuff, but we can work through that because I'm a real woman. Like, let's have a conversation about you all's children, because I'm gonna respect your role as their mother. You know, so let's talk about it. Let me know what I'm able to do and what I'm not able to do when it comes down to both of your children, because he doesn't make the rules at the end of the day. But I would love a blended family. I love that because I don't have to start over because I'm not trying to. I'm trying to get all this weight off and trying to get fine. And so I ain't trying to add anything to it, but I'm also old school. I'm not looking for one of those surrogate parents that carry a baby for me. If I'm gonna do it, if it's God's will, I'm gonna carry my own. Not knocking anybody who does, because I understand about complications as well. But if I can carry it, I would carry it, but I'm good. I don't need any more kids. Mine are expensive enough. But I'm going to say that can also afford, I'm not going to necessarily say our lifestyle, but that can contribute to it. We can contribute to a lifestyle. So I can't have a passport flying all over the world and you don't even have a passport. So you're going to have a passport because I do enjoy traveling, you know, and that kind of stuff. But again, I wouldn't necessarily say a low ball figure of like, you know, 50 or 60, you know, 70,000, just again, somewhere where he can maintain his lifestyle, not a bunch of debt, but we can build together and together, you know, collectively, how we decide we're going to manage this budget in our household, that we're both contributing and we're equally contributing to a certain space in terms of our home. Now, what you do with the rest of yours and I do with the rest of mine, that's on us. But as long as we have something that we can work with. And like I said, I mean, yeah, sometimes I may want that 5-star restaurant and I'm going to need you to be able to do that too. But I'm not one of those that have to have it all the time because my girls are picky eaters. So even if we could go to Ruth Chris every day, they don't want that every day. They're good out back here and there and they're okay with Chick-fil-A. So I'm not one of those chicks that has to do this. You know, I've met some women that's like, oh, I don't date blue collar workers, or, you know, I'm going to test a man by having him to buy me some red bottoms and see if he can, like, why would you do that? So I'm not that kind of woman. I'm more, like you said, the romantic, you know, I enjoy the walks in the parks. I enjoy water. I love the beach. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy road trips. Like get up in the morning, put on some joggers, a hoodie, a t-shirt. Let's hit the road. Let's listen to some good music. I'm a oldies but goodie chick. So put me on some good music and like, we good. Like we are great. I'm not bougie on that level.
Listen. I'm sitting up here, right? My mind is going. I'm gonna tell y'all what I'm thinking. Oh, I gotta take my glasses off on this one. And this is just the Single Women of GWC. That's a new
Yes.
show coming in the fall.
I love it. Listen, right in time before the holidays. That means we ain't trying to come up on no Christmas gifts. We just trying to get booed up before 2024.
There you go. The Single Women of GWC coming to you in the fall 2023. Oh, listen, I'm a fool. Listen, girl, I want to listen. This has been great. Thank you for being so open and just sharing your experience, your journey into entrepreneurship, even the personal side. Because I think for a lot of times people don't talk about that side. They make it seem like it's all hunky dory. Life is good. I got this. No. No. If you are on this journey that we're on, yeah, it could be good, but listen, we bump our heads plenty of times. We got bruises to prove it, but we get up and keep going. So thank you for just sharing that journey with us. Thank you for just being open. Thank you for sharing about the government contracting and not having to have all these certifications. Now, we're not telling you don't go out and get those certifications. We're just simply saying that you can get these $1 million contracts without getting certifications. And so, yes, we're going to have a training. She's coming back live. We're going to get together. We're going to tell you what the training is all about. But here's the thing. You need to be a member of Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce. Now, we may let you come if you're not, but you don't get the member rate. So just make sure to follow us on Facebook and on LinkedIn, Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce. And if you are anywhere in the world and you are a woman in business and you want to be a part of a community that's nurturing, doing big things. We got big things going on right now. Listen, I just told you, my financial advisor, we all on a 7-figure run right now. And Shunte has already hit 7. So watch out. Here come the rest of us right behind her. If you want to be a part of that community, we invite you to join. No matter if you live in Alabama, New Jersey, New York, New Hampshire, wherever you are in the world, we have virtual classes, virtual meetups, and in-person meetups as well. So we invite you to become a part of our community. When we started this community, we knew that we wanted to serve women who wanted to get to a certain level, but we also knew that we wanted to serve the whole woman. So we're not always about business. Now, we're about it a lot, but not always. We have fun. We have time outs and potlucks and all that good stuff. We let our hair down and let the good time, all of that, because that's who we are. Listen, Shunte just talked about she's looking for, I feel like isn't that a song? Shunte's looking for a man.
Yeah, Shunte's got a man. I'm ready to start saying that. That's when
Shunte's got a man.
Shunte's got a man.
Yeah, that's the new song, LP dropping 2023. Listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate, you taking some time to share with us this day. Listen, you guys want to connect with her. How can they connect with you?
So I'm on Facebook. I'm Purpose Life Coaching. And actually, I'm sorry, Purpose for Life, because somebody had my Purpose Life Coaching. But Purpose for Life on Facebook. Instagram, I'm actually Purpose with a D, Life Coaching. You can also go to visit my website. It's www.Purposed Life Coaching, and it's with the D, PURPOSED, lifecoaching.com. Right now, I am offering free 1-hour consultations. I'm sorry, I'm just like shifting my hair right now. I'm offering free 1-hour consultations for people that may be interested in possibly doing coaching. Again, the beautiful thing about you get the whole woman as well as the business development side with the coaching that I actually provide. I do speaking engagements and all those wonderful things. You can always reach out to me via phone, 678-532. No, I'm sorry, 678. I got a lot of numbers, y'all. 678-852-8481. 678-852-8481. And I'm info@purposelifecoaching.com.
All right, we're going to drop the number up here so people can see it. Listen, she put her phone number out. I don't put no phone. Don't call me. Email me. Email me. Do not call me. Email.
But that was just in case, one of those guys that was interested, like, want to set up a consult. But I do separate person from business. So now if you call me for personal, then we got another number for that. But if it's just like, hey, I got that real quick, it ain't for coaching, it's for something else, then that's it right there too.
They about to slide up in your DM, girl. They already looking at you like, okay, she got multi-million-dollar contract. Now you vet them real well. Now be careful, because we got a lot of slicksters out there all over the place. So just
let me say, I got a pack of girlfriends that's so tight around me that like they are not even about to get real close to me and know the perfume I got on without my girlfriends. Like, girl, hold on just 1 minute. Cause see, I'm one, I'll fall for 2 seconds. But my girls, they're like bulldogs. They're like, Shunte, absolutely not. It's something about him. So I appreciate my circle of good girlfriends because they keep a girl in check because I am that one.
Well, thank you again. Listen, you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. It has been a pleasure. And listen, guys, we are going to be doing some trainings. You are invited. I'm just joking. You are invited, but you can find out more about that. Just check out the Gwinnett Women's Chamber website. That's GwinnettWomen'sChamber.com to find out when those trainings are coming up. Shunte has said yes to that. They're not free because she's not free. So just know that just off the rip. But here's the thing, if she can teach you how to get one contract, would it be worth the investment that you're going to make? Probably so, because it won't be that much probably. But listen, make sure to become a part of our community. Follow us on Facebook and on LinkedIn at Gwinnett Women's Chamber. And we'll be back again with another great guest tomorrow. Yes, you want to know how to be healed? Bridget Hayes is coming on tomorrow. She's an energy healer. She's going to tell you how to use energy to heal. And she's also a master masseuse. So she'll be on tomorrow. So be sure to tune in tomorrow. That's tomorrow at 1:30. So listen, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode because I got them coming. They're coming back to back. And then we're going to come back again on Sunday because I got another great one for you. So you want to make sure that you stay in the loop and be able to follow all. And I like doing live. I know some people like to do recordings. I like live. And again, we're streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Amazon. Yes, I said Amazon. You can stream live on Amazon. Not everybody. Your girl can. So we're streaming live on Amazon right now. So Shunte, thank you again. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I will talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Take care. Thank you.
You're welcome. You've been listening to Talk Business with Audrey. Bringing you another powerful resource to help you start or grow your business so that you can live the boss life. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the show now, share it with your friends, and drop Audrey a note over at www.talkbusinesswithaudrey.biz.